All right, Coach. You pitched a donut against New Mexico State. Said you're going to get some shutout donuts. How'd they taste?
They were great. They were great. Coach Coyle picked some good ones, so we had a lot of different little flavors. So we'll eat those anytime.
What's your go-to donut?
I'm actually a maple bar guy. So if I can have a maple bar, I'm happy dude.
So you got back-to-back home games, but now you won't play another home game for a month. And your first two Mountain West games as the coach of Fresno State are both on the road. What's it going to take for your team to execute the way we saw at home, away from home?
Definitely. You know, playing on the road is always a challenge. As a football player, as a coach, you kind of have to embrace that everybody hates you and the atmospheres and all that type of stuff. But to be honest with you, it's no different than being home. We have to play Bulldog football. We just have to play physical. We have to play smart. We got to keep the penalties down. And then when we get opportunities, we got to take advantage of it. So that's what the road is. The road is starting fast and taking advantage of opportunities and trying to play ahead of the sticks and all those type of things and keep the field position battle in our favor.
I know it's a different team, different opponent, different date, but does that stadium hold some special significance for you because of what we saw in December?
You can't deny that. It'll always be a special place, kind of the first time where I was able to lead the troops and things like that, and we were able to get a victory, which was a good night. But you pretty much hit it on the head. It's a whole different circumstance, whole different situation, and we got to play Bulldog football, and we got to get another win.
How's it going, Coach?
Great.
Great job on the victory. Each game to me seemed, when I was watching them, that you were like making a statement. With Michigan, it was like you guys wanted to hang with the big dogs. Sac State was overcoming adversity to get the win. With the Aggies, I think you were showing like the full potential of the team. When playing the Lobos, what statement do you want your team to make for their performance on Saturday?
You kind of put themes on all those games. Those just kind of naturally happened. To be honest with you, we just want to play Bulldog football. Every game has a million situations, right? And we're trying to win as many of them. But I think when you're in the theme world, kind of how the situations play out, how we handle the ball security, how we handle the kicking game, all the situations that are around, that kind of gives you the theme. But I don't really think the theme happens until after the game. So we're just focused on playing Bulldog football. That's our whole mindset.
Awesome. I know last week you were obviously getting inundated with questions about the move to the Pac-12 and stuff like that. With me, my focus is on how good the Mountain West Conference is playing so far early in the season. I was just wondering, what's been your assessment about the Mountain West so far, and what challenges do you think the Bulldogs will be facing when you face off against UNLV and San Jose State, teams like that are right now currently 3-0?
Definitely, and I'm a guy that stays in the moment in the week, but I always looking at scores and things like that, right? Okay, and it's good ball, right? There's some good teams in this conference. I mean, it's really good ball. We play late at night for the most part, so a lot of people on the other side of the coast don't get to see it. But I think it's going to be a challenge every single week. I don't even go off records. I just go off style of play, and people are playing hard right now. A lot of the group of five, not just in our conference, are playing very hard. So it's a respect thing. It's trying to be recognized type thing, and I think it's fun. I think it's great. The more competition, the better, and I'm excited to play through their schedule. But my mind, honestly, is totally focused on this week's game.
Oh, for sure. And any progress on Mose Fifeo's condition or anything?
We'll know a little bit more. We have a staff meeting with the trainers later on Mondays, and then we'll see if he can do anything during this week at practice, and we'll assess that, and we'll move forward with it.
Morning, Coach. As a former linebacker yourself, are you looking up at the clock during the fourth quarter saying to yourself, okay, I really want this shutout?
Definitely. I love shutouts. There's not a defensive guy that doesn't. It got on our mind once the fourth quarter started. I think they had 70 yards going into the fourth quarter, so we wanted to continue to play well. If you remember in the Sac State game, I was talking about we had some other guys come into the game, and we kind of did some communication things that weren't the way we wanted it to be, and we gave up some plays. So that was more the challenge, was to see if these guys that don't play all the time and not all the time together can still execute and run the defense and things like that. And they did a great job. I think Coach Coyle counted 31 different guys played on defense. So that's a huge number. It's almost 3 deep, so across the board. So that's pretty awesome.
We've asked McCann a lot about Delano over the last week or so. I was just curious, your thoughts on his explosion over the last 2 games.
Super competitive, man. That guy practices hard. He puts in the work. It's not a shock to me. It's not a shock to anybody that knows that kid. He can run. He knows our system. He's a Bulldog. He's been here forever, So it's just good to see him out there and getting some credit and getting his due. And I know he'll continue to keep working hard and get better and better.
And last question, the Lobos haven't had a great start, but they've got Bronco Mendenhall, someone who's been around the game a long time. Just your thoughts on him.
Yeah, I have a ton of respect for him. I don't know him personally, but I followed him. He's been a head coach in different places. He knows this conference very well, so it's going to be a battle. He has those kids playing very, very hard. Offense, they create explosive plays. They're doing a really good job, and on defense, they're trying to muddy the waters and give you different looks and twists and all those type of things up front. So it's going to be a challenge. Well-respected coach. Team's playing hard, and it's on the road, so it's going to be fun.
Coach, what are some things from the offense that you want to implement moving forward? Obviously, getting the run game going this past weekend, looking ahead to New Mexico.
Yeah, we're just trying to be consistent. You know, we've talked for the last couple of weeks about the run game, right? And I was like, hey, it's close, it's going to get there. We finally proved it was close, and we popped some of those long runs and stuff. But when you really look at it, we've had 500 yards in the last 2 games of total offense. So we just need to be consistent, keep it rolling. This last game, the one thing, if I was trying to be critical, would be just being better on third downs. We want to convert a little bit more of those third downs and keep on keeping the sticks moving. So just little things like that.
How do you assess Mikey's game? Obviously, a clean game from him, throwing for over 200 yards. Do you think he seems more comfortable there?
Mikey's played a lot of ball. Even when he wasn't playing up to his standard, I still felt like he was comfortable. It wasn't like he was panicking on the sideline or anything like that. He was just working on some fundamental stuff and getting his footwork down. And he's up there in the office right now looking at film and things like that. So he's a worker. He'll be fine. I'm not worried about him.
What are some challenges that New Mexico's defense presents?
Like I was saying earlier, they're going to muddy the waters. They move around up front. They try to keep you guessing. They're going to change their coverages. You know, they go from a middle field closed, a middle field open. They keep on switching it around. They're going to blitz their linebackers. They're very, very aggressive. So we're going to have to handle all that movement. And then when the opportunity is there, we have to seize it and take advantage of that opportunity. So it's going to be a highly contested game. It always is, playing any team that Bronco Mendenhall is coaching. So it'll be good to see how we react to it.
Morning, Coach.
Morning.
If I read correctly, this is the 4th time in 4 years you go to Albuquerque.
Yeah, for Fresno State, yeah, I missed one of those trips over there. But, yes, it is. And we've had a lot of success over there in that stadium. So get on that plane and go again.
And I got to ask about the 42 transfers they have. How difficult is it to game plan for a team that comes from all over the country?
To me, every single game is about transfers now. The portal has changed the game. So the word transfer is like a normal deal now. I mean, every team has new guys. We have new guys. I mean, it's just all part of it. You just look at the film, you see what you see, and you go attack it and game plan it. That's bottom line. The names are changing and jersey numbers are changing, but schemes are schemes. So we're attacking the schemes.
And is it possible that the offense being so prolific, I mean, all these games where they're putting up these huge yard numbers, is that helping the defense in terms of just giving them confidence to go out there and do their job since the offense is doing their job?
We're a team game, right? We all are connected, and I would throw in the kicking game also. Kicking game is part of that also, and we're just playing team Bulldog football. That's what it's all about for us. We're going to all want to be one heartbeat, and when we are one heartbeat, that's when we look really, really good. When it's all off a beat and skipping beats and stuff, that's when it gets nasty. So we're just trying to be one heartbeat and be one team.
Congratulations, Coach, on a dominating game. Earlier in the week, Fresno State was named to go to the Pac-12. Was this game putting a stamp telling the rest of the country, here comes the Bulldogs?
I wouldn't throw that on just one game. I think the tradition of Fresno State has kind of put us in this position. You go all the way back to Coach Sweeney. You go Coach Hill, Coach Tedford. Those guys have built this place up to put us in the position of where we can move on to that to another conference and a national brand. I think our academic success, especially with the football team, has been huge. I think our crowd support, everybody knows the Red Wave nationally. Everybody knows the Green V. They know we're going to pack our stadium. They know we're going to travel to road stadiums. I think that's huge. I think our tradition of winning is huge. It obviously helps us when people know that we're going to compete and we're going to win games and things like that. So our leadership has done a great job. I think our school president, our athletic director, they are always on the attack trying to get better and better and better, not just happy standing still. So I think all of those things together is kind of the perfect recipe for us to be a national brand.
Coach, having played with the WAC patch and coached with the Mountain West patch, what does it mean to be heading to the Pac-12 for this program to you?
I mean, it's like you've heard all the time. We're always trying to be on the rise, right? We're trying to get better and better and better. And to be part of a national brand is huge for us. Like I was saying earlier, I think all the hard work is paying off, and anytime you can see that and witness that, I think it's a big thing. It's a great thing, and it's like I said, we have to continue to keep winning. We have to keep keeping the fans happy. Fans got to keep on packing the stadium, and we just got to take care of business, and everything takes care of itself.
it's still a couple years out, but you are recruiting high schoolers that know that they'll be impacted by this move. How do you anticipate that'll help recruiting?
I hope it helps. I mean, we're always looking for something to help, right? And recruiting's tricky. You never know which going to get that one kid to tick, and it's our job to figure that out. So if it's a patch with a conference on it, we'll use it, you know. But we're always constantly trying to figure out how to get guys to be Bulldogs, and right now we're having a little bit of momentum, and we got to keep it going.
And regarding New Mexico, you guys saw some glimpses of their quarterback that's taken over this season. What makes him dangerous?
Very athletic. 0 sacks right now. He has 0 sacks. That was crazy when I saw. I thought it was a misprint. But very athletic, keeps plays alive. He's very, very dangerous, very scary. And then he does a good job of finding the one-on-ones, and he'll get that ball up there and let his receivers compete for it. So we're going to have to be smart not to get penalties, and we have to be smart playing the ball in the air. So it's a challenge for us. Very athletic guy, and if we cover everybody, he can always take off and run too. So true dual threat guy, and we're going to have our hands full.
Coach, with last week with all the turnovers forced, some of them on the secondary, sometimes on the defensive line, getting in on the quarterback as well. How much of those guys argue about who gets credit on those interceptions when it comes to that on the defensive side? You know it firsthand from playing.
Definitely. We all want to get the ball back, right? That's our defense. That's all we say. Get the ball back. Defense, get the ball back. That's our big thing. So we want to constantly keep creating turnovers. It's kind of funny and ironic, but Coach Coyle was on the headset. He said, man, we got to get a turnover. And as soon as he said that, we started getting turnovers. It's kind of funny how it just happened. And the guys started playing hard, and we were consciously having our eyes on the ball and figuring out ways to get it out. So it worked out pretty well for us. We have to continue that going.
I know maybe just a few nitpicks on last week's game. The emotion of the game sometimes, the post penalties and the post play. These guys play with a lot of heart and a lot of emotion, but you see sometimes those post play penalties. How do you balance wanting them to play with emotion versus what could, with the potential penalties?
Yeah, you're being nice saying emotions. Stupid penalties is how I call it. We had a little bonding session in here, yesterday? We talked about a little bit of that, and hopefully we get it corrected. Stupid penalties, like I said, you can't have them, right? It's after the play. Sometimes the ball carrier is going backwards and we're creating penalties, or we're losing our minds and doing too much celebration stuff like we're in the Sunday League. So we got to have to eliminate that, and we'll get that corrected.
Lastly, in the red zone, Josh Wood, he seems kind of like a cheat code so far with what you guys are doing. How is he so effective down there in your mind, and what's exciting about him being a red zone option?
He's a dual threat guy, man. The main thing with Josh for me is just seeing where he is now, because there was a time, man, he was at the bottom of the bottom, trying to get his body right, trying to get healthy, and people telling him maybe you can't play anymore and all that type of stuff, and he just attacked his rehab, and he's gotten to the point where he can play, and he's definitely a threat for us. I'm just excited for him and excited to see what the future holds for him. Thanks.
Morning.
Coach Coyle, the turnovers were a big part of the game last week, among all things with the shutout, of course. Coach was talking about how you almost ordered up turnovers right when you needed them, and then they show up. Talk about the performance on the defensive side from what you saw.
Well, it was a solid defensive overall performance. I think every level of the defense played well, starting with the guys up front. We knew going in this team was a good running football team, and we did a good job of containing the run, shutting it down pretty much most of the day. And the takeaways started to come. It was a big play. We had pressure on the quarterback, and Cam did a great job of technique-wise playing the route and picked it off. And then, we had the quarterback scrambling on another one where he kind of lofted it up, thought he had a chance, and he may have had a chance, but Cam caught up to it and made a play. And then we had the late interception by Justin, which was great. But we also caused a couple of fumbles. We didn't get them, but we had opportunities for additional takeaways. But I thought overall it was a good effort. Particularly pleased with the fact that we played, my count is correct, I think we had 31 defensive players playing the game, and a lot of them significant snaps, not just final series or so. So we had a lot of guys gain game experience, and I think that's going to bode well for us in the future.
Just speaking on the the penalties versus the emotion of the game. These guys play with a lot of emotion, but I'm sure there's some penalties you did not want to see from that defensive side. How do you balance that? I know you want guys to play with emotion, but of course there were some penalties you certainly didn't want to see.
Right. You got to be smart. And as Coach Skipper alluded to a minute ago, we talked to them about it. One of the problems, I got to be honest with you, I think, is that they watch these NFL games, and now it's become who can outdo the next guy in terms of celebration. They allow them to run in the end zone, they take pictures, they do this, they do that. And my first message to them yesterday was that we are not playing in the NFL, so let's cut that garbage out. And from there, the one we had late as we were tackling the guy, that was, it was close. It was close, and that was just being a little overzealous at the point of attack. But that one I can kind of understand. We don't want it. We didn't need to do it, but we got to realize that we get into games down the road, penalties. Self-inflicted wounds will hurt us against some of the teams we're going to be playing. So we got to eliminate those, and we addressed it pretty seriously.
Coach, regarding the 31 players, it seemed like third downs. A lot of times you have a whole new D line coming in. Looked late, like almost a whole new defense came out on third down a couple of times. Yeah. Can you just speak to the depth and some of the luxuries maybe that you guys have that not many teams do?
Well. We felt going into the year that our depth was going to be a little bit better than it has been, and I think that's proving to be true as we go through the season. We have some different packages where we get guys in and out. Some guys are better on first and second down. Some guys are more skilled in rushing the passer or covering, that type of thing. So we tried to do that a little bit in the second half, and as we were getting more and more guys in the game, we also wanted some of our guys to continue to get some reps during the second half because of the situations and some of the calls we were making, and give them the opportunity to execute some of those calls. So it kind of all played together as the game went on, and we felt good about the way it went. I think the big thing about third down, we didn't give up we gave up a first down on the first drive with our starters in there, and that was on a scramble where he kind of got out and then completed a pass. But up until the fourth quarter on third down, they had not converted another third down at that point. I think they finished 3 of 16 for the game, so we were pretty pleased with that.
And what's your initial outlook on this New Mexico team?
This team's a very good offensive football team. They're averaging 30 points a game right now and 414 yards a game. And they've put big numbers up on their last two Power 4 or whatever you want to call opponents, where they played Arizona, and I think they had 470 yards against them. And then the last weekend against Auburn, and part of the game was played in the rain, but they had 448 yards against Auburn. So this is a team that can move the football. They've got skilled players. The receivers are good. They remind me a lot of our receivers. They're guys. They play hard. They make contested catches. They come up with big plays. And the quarterback is the same guy that came into our game last year and made a couple of big plays in our game. As Skip referred to before, the guy's not been sacked. He extends plays as good as anybody out there, and he's averaging over 7 yards a carry when he does tuck the ball. And some of that's scrambles, some of that's design runs. So we got our work cut out for us, keeping them in the pocket, doing things to try to contain their perimeter game and their run game, and then we got to match up these receivers. So it's a good, big challenge. This is a good offensive team.
Morning, Coach Coyle.
Morning.
We talked last week about turnovers. You got 3 more of them last week, so now you're getting closer to 25. How do you sustain these amount of turnovers per week?
We go into the games expecting them, and we talk about it during the week in practice. We look for opportunities to make them in practice. We get on the guys when they don't make the opportunity in practice to go strip the ball or intercept the ball. It's a confidence thing. Oftentimes interceptions and fumbles, it's kind of like a snowball going downhill. It just kind of picks up pace, and all of a sudden you're getting them in groups, and that's what we're hoping to continue. This will be a big game where turnovers can be a big factor in this game, and certainly we're going to do our best to get some.
What can you share about the personality of this defense? You got characters like Cam Lockridge, Corey Foreman. How do their character and their personality give this defense an edge?
Well, you hit it on the head. We got some personalities now. They're all a little bit different, but that's a good thing. They come together as a group, and that's the most important thing, that they play hard for each other. They compete. They get excited. They have enthusiasm and come with intensity each and every week. I think they're now starting to gel as a group as we're getting into this important part of the season. So they all are, like I said, they're all a little different. Some are more vocal than others, but there's a real bond and a real brotherhood about this group that I'm excited about.
Coach, what can you say about Cam Lockridge's growth within the program and just how he's kind of been consistent, and now he's finally able to kind of show what he's made of staying healthy?
Yeah, well, Cam has made great strides, his productivity is really impressive. He's gotten 4 takeaways right now. Am I right about that? He has 3 interceptions and a fumble recovery in 3 games. That's got to be one of the tops in the country, I would think. He's playing smart. He's playing aggressive. I think his football IQ has improved a lot, which helps him get himself in position to make plays. And he's got a good skill set, and he came in with a good skill set. Someone said to me the other day, I don't know if it's true or not, but that of the returning DBs in the country, he's got one of the highest numbers in terms of interceptions in his career. So that is a testament to how effective he's been. Hopefully he can keep it up, and the rest of those guys are all in the secondary are doing a good job as well. I thought we covered them well the other day. AZ had some PBUs. I thought Julian Neal had some really nice plays on the perimeter, and Jakari came in the game and did well and made some plays on special teams as well. So, that whole group of the corners, I think, took a step up last week.
Coach, during the broadcast, Takeo Spikes was praising your defensive effort. He said you were a Dick LeBeau disciple, so I was just curious what you thought of that and then what Dick LeBeau has meant to your career.
Geez, I didn't know Takeo was commenting about the game, but he's a great guy. Spent some fun years with him. But, yes, Coach LeBeau, still some of the things that we do schematically, I can thank Coach LeBeau for introducing me to some of these things, and it's been great over the years. Actually, got in touch with him again over the summer, and he's always there for you. He's just a great coach and an even better person. But I think all that influence, and it started oftentimes with him because we were studying when Coach was back at Pittsburgh and I was coaching at Maryland and Syracuse. We started following the trend of the zone blitzes and things that was just coming in vogue in the NFL at the time. So we were kind of a little bit on the cutting edge of it when I was first here back in the late 90s. We ran a lot of those things before people were running them. And people had trouble because they just hadn't seen it. Now everybody runs it, but yet we try to stay, I guess, as I said, on the cutting edge by tweaking ones each week a little bit, adding some, just trying to stay one step ahead of the offense, and hopefully we can continue to do that.
How's it going, Coach? Great
Great.
victory. Your defense played soundly against the Aggies. What does it feel like personally as a coach to see your unit play like that in that fashion where everything was on point?
That's a rewarding part of coaching. That's the satisfying feeling that you go into each game hoping you can do, and very seldom are you able to accomplish it for the entire 60 minutes. Getting a shutout is hard at any level, and you see that each and every week. But we're fortunate to get the shutout and be able to maintain the shutout in the second half as we continued to substitute guys throughout the game. And guys deserve to play, and that's kind of our feeling there, that we wanted to get guys playing time. And the score at that point was important because we take great pride in that, in our scoring defense. That's the most important statistic on defense. But yet having guys get out there, play, reward them, but also just get them the experience, because we're going to need them all as the season goes on. So that was great, and I was really pleased with some of the execution of our younger players as they got in the game and just competed like crazy right to the very end.
No, for sure. I agree. And back to what you were saying earlier, that you said that's true. The Lobos are 0-3, though, and they've been losing to some really good teams like Arizona and Auburn, though. But, they do find a way to put points on the scoreboard. And like you said, they have a good scrambling quarterback who has yet to get sacked. So overall, what's your defensive strategy and game plan when you play against the Lobos on Saturday?
Well, we're still in the process of that. This morning on Mondays, the coaches all break down individually and study their area of expertise, whether it's short yardage, goal line, play action pass, what have you. And then we come together this afternoon and start going through each segment with their reports and then sorting out our ideas. I kind of hunker down in my office and look at everything and come up with some thoughts that I have, but I want to hear what the other coaches have in terms of their input, and then we'll put the plan together. I just know this: we've got to, like every week, stop the run game. These guys are averaging 173 yards a game rushing right now, which is pretty impressive, and we got to stop their run and contain this quarterback, because when the quarterback gets outside on the perimeter, he's a real threat, and very, very dangerous. He made a play against us last year where the ball hit the ground, fumbled it, and he picked it up and threw it for a touchdown. And we kind of got lost sight of the ball there late in the game, and it was a big play. But he's a very good athlete, and I think the complement of skill players that they have makes them a dangerous team.
No, for sure. And then everyone wants to talk about Fresno State going to the Pac-12, but to me, the talk of the town to me is how good the Mountain West has been so far early in the season. UNLV and San Jose State are both 3-0, and the other teams in the conference are loading up on the offensive stat sheets. So I know the Lobos are your priority right now this week, though. But have you been doing some early scouting, and have you put anything into place when you face those tough conference opponents?
Not really, other than the stuff that we've done over the summer. Sometimes on a Friday afternoon, I might look at one of our opponents for down the road just to get a sneak peek at them. But there's not enough time in the week to try to juggle, game planning for 2 or 3 different teams. And it also can kind of distract you from what the most immediate important thing is, and that's winning the game each week. So we got some challenges ahead of us, but just taking them 1 week at a time, like we are doing, and trying to improve each and every week. And it's not a matter of who we play. It's a matter of how we play, and we got to continue to keep getting better each week.
Coach, when you were in the NFL, maybe you play in Denver every once in a while. It's the only time you ever have to think about altitude. This conference presents a few places, and this is one of them, more than a mile high in Albuquerque. Anything you guys are doing this week to prepare for that factor?
Not necessarily. I think some of the things we'll do from a hydration standpoint and nutrition standpoint and rest as the week goes on. But you usually get into those kind of games, and if you don't make a big deal of the altitude, it quickly seems to dissipate as far as the effect on the players. Sometimes early in the game, you might have a series or two where you feel it, but then they kind of get acclimated to it, and the rest of the game doesn't really affect us that much. So I think we'll be fine that way. I think teams that play in altitude try to make a bigger deal of it. They got signs on the stadium and all that stuff when you come off the bus trying to intimidate you. But, I think we'll just get in there and do our thing.
And you mentioned the young players who got reps. Mordecai Hines and that wingspan, what did you see from him?
Yeah, he was impressive. Excuse me. We had a fun time yesterday watching the tape with the entire defense, and when those young guys were making plays like Mordecai. And Auckland did a heck of a job when he was in there. They all did. But Mordecai has got real size and length to him, and he did a good job rushing the passer. So we were excited about watching him, and he felt good about it. Not only did he do a good job rushing the passer, we had a couple of defenses where he was required to drop, and did an outstanding job in the drops where he hadn't gotten those reps during the week in practice. So we made a real strong point to the guys in the room that here's a guy who's executing the defense that didn't practice that, but he was in the meetings and he learned it, and he was on the scout team for most of the week, but yet he got in the game, knew his assignment, executed it, and that was a real big plus. And he felt good. He was kind of walking around proud as a peacock there, out there on the field right after he made a couple of plays, but he deservedly should have felt that way.
Last thing, Coach Skip gave you credit for picking up the donuts. So
Yeah.
Can you share any advice for picking great donuts after a shutout, and what was your favorite?
Well, the players were chanting donuts. We've done it, knock on wood, it's just the third year in a row we've gotten a shutout. And so we started it the first year, we brought the donuts, and then after that, the cheers in the locker room. I can't not bring the donuts or I'm going to get some real flack from the guys. So we got the donuts, and they enjoy the Krispy Kreme. So I think we had about 6 dozen donuts in the back of the room. And before we started the meeting, I made them all go get their donuts because I didn't want them getting distracted by the aroma of the donuts in the back of the room.
All right, thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Coach, I know last week against Sac State you felt like you left some points on the table. How about this week? How would you grade your offense in that dominating performance?
Feel kind of the same. I felt like there was, we had a lot of possessions that missed maybe a few opportunities. So I would say it's a similar feeling of like, it's always good to win 48-0 and feel like there was more out there. Especially when it's week 3 of the season, because you still feel like your best football is ahead of you. You just got to maybe shore up a few things. And, I think probably the thing that I'd probably be most disappointed about as far as some of those possessions was, we were backed up twice and didn't necessarily get our first goal is to get a first down. First goal when we're backed up is to get a first down. We didn't do it either time. So there's certain things along the way, benchmarks that we expect to hit and we didn't. Which is, again, I look at it in a way as a positive, like, hey, we gotta clean some of these things up, and it didn't cost us, in terms of the end result.
A lot of people had fun with, Mac Delano waiting for the second play this time. So should we look for that on play 3 in Albuquerque?
I think at some point, it's going to dry up. But no, it was really, it was exciting because we knew, that was really kind of an alert that we put on the play, that if we got certain looks that we could make that change, because it wasn't intentionally, a deep shot to Mac. It was just happened to be the defensive look that we were looking for, and Mikey checked to it and made a great throw and protected it, and Mac, finished it.
And Elijah looked good, Bryson looked good, but what does it mean for the whole offense? What are the domino effects that come from having Malik Sherrod back as Malik Sherrod?
I say it all the time, Malik is a thermostat, not a thermometer. He sets the temperature with everybody around him. So, I think that, he had a fire lit under him, but I would just say that the things that people don't see is, we had Aaron Pryor out there, our running backs coach, in cleats chasing our running backs last week in drill work, finishing runs. Like that, there was a very strong intention to finish runs. And, there's literally clips. I can't believe AP can still walk from the way he was sprinting to make those guys, finish runs, but they did a great job. So to me, it started in practice. There's distinct clips of Malik finishing runs in practice that maybe he wasn't doing the first 2 weeks. He's coming back and he's getting healthy and all that, but he practiced that way. And then just his energy and his, just the passion that he plays the game with is it's palpable. Like you can feel it, and it was there on Saturday night.
How's it going, Coach? Great victory.
Thank you.
The week before, playing Sac State, obviously you put up 46 points, though. But going into the game against the Aggies, was that your strategy going into the game thinking, well, man, if we could do this against Sac State, let's raise the bar even higher. Let's open up more. Let's go even deeper and stuff like that. Was that your strategy thinking, hey, we did this, let's go above and beyond this time?
Best way for me to put it is we're trying to go up and beyond every time. Knowing it's where every game proposes different challenges. We felt like there was certain things, certain areas that we could attack in this last game that were maybe similar that we felt like we could attack against Sac State. There's just a standard of performance here, anyways, that we're kind of always striving for. And it worked out. And again, like I said, I feel like we still left some out there. But yeah, I think that we're just kind of always striving for to play a little bit better, all the time.
And about when you guys were talking about Malik Sherrod, this was his first 100-yard rushing game so far early in the season. He seemed to be in good health when he was out there playing. Is this a good sign of showing that he's going to get more carries as the season progresses and he's going to get more playing time?
Yeah, he's definitely the healthiest he's been. To this point in the season. But I also want to give him credit. He practiced at a different rate, and then he played at a different rate, and he played his best game, and he finished runs better than he has in the first 2 games. So I want to make sure that, it's not just a health thing. He also, he produced, and he showed up, and that's what you expect of Malik, but he really showed up, and I think that's the thing that really pushes the envelope for Malik.
And, of course, everybody here is asking about, going into the Pac-12, though. But to me, the Mountain West Conference is, pretty setting a good standard right now early in the season. Obviously, you're focused on the Lobos, but have you planned ahead of time with, any, some plays or any strategies implemented when you play against the stronger opponents in the Mountain West, obviously with San Jose State and, UNLV being 3-0, and with Boise State obviously always being a good competitor as well?
Yeah, I think, and I know Coach Coyle mentioned it, we spent some time studying certain teams in the offseason. You kind of know where teams fall on your schedule. you know, we spent time making sure that, you know, when we get to certain weeks that we at least have kind of, okay, this is what they were last year. But I think, you know, the interesting thing is, you know, you go into, and it's the same thing when I took over as the coordinator last year versus what we're running now. You know, maybe stuff that we were running in spring ball of 2023, maybe we that's not who we became because we just that wasn't what we became good at. You know, you evolve, and so I think that, you know, what you see is, you know, we might have prepared for certain teams, you know, over the summer, and then, you know, they get into the season too and they evolve on defense. You know, so I think you have an idea, but it's the same thing offensively. You know, we had an idea of what we might become good at, but then things evolve, and, you know, there's certain things that we've done through 3 weeks that when we set out back around August 1st that I didn't necessarily know if that was going to be a big part of what we're doing. So that's the long-winded way of saying, like, no, we're not necessarily looking ahead. We already did that a while ago, but it is kind of cool. I mean, you see nationally, you know, I mean, you see UNLV go beat Kansas. Like, that's great for our conference. Like, you know, those things are really good. And, you know, so that's the cool part about seeing what's kind of going on around the league.
Morning, Coach.
Morning.
Magdalena, 15 receptions. He's averaging nearly 26 yards per reception, 128 a game. Did you envision this in fall camp?
I did make a point that we wanted to be more explosive in the pass game. And, you know, honestly, I just hope Magdalena gets an NFL Combine invite because I want to see what he runs as 40 on, like, the national stage. You know, I mean, he's going to be one of the fastest players on the field no matter who we play. But I think it goes back to there's a few things going on there. I mean, you look at some of the big plays that he's had, they've been really well protected. Mikey's been more aggressive than maybe he was a year ago. You know, so I think that some of those opportunities are created by the fact that he has speed, but then there's also other guys around him too. You know, I think that the wide receiver position inherently is the most selfish position on the football field. Like, there's one ball, and there's usually multiple of them that think that they should be getting the ball. And our guys have been they're phenomenal. Like, they don't complain. They're not selfish. They understand that, you know, one guy's big game might be, you know, they might be the next week, and that's a credit to them too. And so they understand kind of their role in it. So Max getting open because, yes, he's winning, but he's also getting open because we've got certain things going on that you can't just defend Magdalena or else somebody else, and we got a quarterback that can find those guys too. So, you know, Max started off well, yes, but it easily could have been somebody else, you know, that's just how the chips fell.
Morning, Coach.
Morning.
What were some lessons learned from last year's loss to New Mexico that maybe you guys can show learning opportunities in this Saturday?
If you said out of the games we lost last year, you know, as far as kind of the ones that like, what did I take the most personal? It was the New Mexico one. Just for me personally, I just felt like, you know, I got off schedule, I got off rhythm there. I don't feel like I gave our guys the best chance to be successful. So, you know, looking back on it, you know, it's like we had a different quarterback in there. You got to play to the quarterback's strengths, and I probably didn't, you know. And, you know, so I think the main thing is just keep the main thing the main thing. You know, we've got to emphasize what is our game plan, stick to that, don't get frustrated. You know, they've done a very good job to this point of they're in tight games. You know, like, I mean, I can't remember what the score exactly was with the Arizona game, but, you know, but midway through the game, I mean, it's a shootout. You know, Auburn, I mean, it's a close game. So they've done a really good job, and you can't get impatient. You can't get, you know, which is probably what I did a little bit last year was, you know, I probably pressed a little bit as a play caller. I probably pressed a little bit. So, you know, that's, I think, the main takeaways for our guys is like, hey, this is going to be a 4-quarter game. Like, they've clearly shown through 3 games that they're going to take this thing through 4 quarters.
And, I mean, Malik Sherrod, I want you to expand more on that. He is a thermostat, not a thermometer. He sets the temperature on everyone else. What are some examples of that in games and in practice?
Yeah, I mean, you know, the analogy is, you know, like a thermostat sets the temperature, a thermometer just reads it, you know, and Malik is high energy, high strung. He and I were talking yesterday. It's like out of the coaching staff, I'm probably the most emotionally charged, on the offensive side of the ball, and he's probably the most emotionally charged offensive player. And, you need that just as far as, he plays the game with a ton of emotion. And, as far as kind of examples of that, when he's the first guy to hold guys accountable, he'll come to me when he sees something, maybe I missed something. Hey, did you see that? He is engaged in the game all the time. And the same thing goes for practice. He is as competitive as it gets. So, when he's quiet, that's when I worry, because I'm like, okay, something's going on. I got to check on him, because he's just practice games. He's competitive and he loves football. That's like the dude loves football, and it just kind of oozes out of him all the time.
Coach, in terms of translating last year's game to this year's, how different is their scheme with the new staff for the Lobos?
It's drastically different, but it's not. Like last year, they were predicated on just creating chaos. There was things that you look at it and go, like, that's not sound, but it's disruptive. They've kept kind of the same components of the disruptiveness to things, where they really try and create chaos, and they pressure, and they bring a variety of different pressures. But you can look at it and go, okay, like I know what they're playing on the back end. It makes sense. And so I would just say just as far as the disruptive side of things is clearly what they are trying to do. They play, knockback football up front. They're trying to crease gaps and get into the backfield and knock people back. But then on the back end, coverage wise, they're very sound too. So that's probably the main thing I would just say is they've maintained the disruptive nature of things, but very sound on the back end.
This past Saturday, you played most of the game without two starting linemen. Can you speak on Tomalolo and Palindo's performance and the overall depth in the unit?
Yeah, we knew Daniel was gonna go. From the start. We knew Campbell would be out and Daniel would play. And he's experienced. He's started games for us in the past. He hasn't been a full-time starter, but he's started games, so you kind of know what to expect from him. Julian Palindo, if you would have told me we were going to run the ball for however many yards we did, and say that Julian Palindo was going to play most of it at center, I wouldn't have believed you just because we haven't seen him do it in games, and he took the opportunity and ran with it. I was really excited for him. He just went, and barring I think we had one snap issue that Mikey kind of made up for because we were moving the pocket anyways, so he rolled out on it, but I don't think we had any snap issues other than the one. We were targeted up front correctly, for the most part all night. He did a really nice job stepping in, under the circumstances.
We saw a little bit of Josiah Freeman. Looks like Tim Greer's working his way back. Can you share a bit about how their progress is coming along and implementing them down the road?
Yeah, so Josiah, I went into it kind of planning, if we get 20, 25 plays out of him, that'd be good just as far as, hamstrings aren't anything to mess with. And so I was a little just conscious of the volume. He ended up playing 10 plays, and we won 48-0, so it's great, because he only had to play 10 plays, and he gets another week of, he got his feet wet a little bit. So the plan obviously would just be to increase the volume with him. And it allows us to put guys in different spots. Now Josiah can go in, we can start moving Mac around a little bit more than maybe we had been. And then Tim Greer, when he got cleared to fully participate, it was really right before the Michigan week. And the conversation with me and Tim has been, it's almost like he's coming out of fall camp right now while everybody else is going into the fourth week of the season. In my mind, he's really kind of hit the fall camp mode just as far as, he was working through the soreness of things, working through, maybe some of the rust, knocking the rust off, stuff like that. Because he didn't have summer either. Our guys do such a good job practicing all summer, on their own. And he didn't have any of that, So he's missed so many reps relative to all the other guys. So I'm excited to get him back because, I think that he provides a ton of value, and he might be the best pass catcher in the room, you know. So to me, like, that's the thing that I'm excited about, is just kind of having a chance to see him get going and play with some confidence too.
A lot of is made about what Mikey's play is during the play, but you mentioned his alert to the touchdown pass to Magdalena. Can you talk about his improvements, maybe pre-snap, of what he's been providing on the quarterback position?
Yeah, we put a ton on that position. You know, I think that, you know, when you talk about everything from, you know, a guy's footwork, understanding protections, you know, who might be the free hitter in a protection. Do I need to redirect a protection to make sure that I don't have a free hitter? You know, I mean, we put a lot on that guy. And then on top of that, you know, we have certain plays that, you know, we call it think, where he has to check based on the perimeter shell. We have stuff where he has to check it on the front. You know, we have stuff that, you know, we can alert routes for certain coverages. So we put a lot on that guy. And it's not just Mikey. Like, that's kind of the standard to play quarterback here. You got to be able to do those things, you know, because I think that's one of the things that, you know, over the years, you know, going back, you look at, you know, Marcus McMurray and you look at Jake Haener, like, those guys, those are all, that's part of what we do. And really, he's always owned that. But I think the cool part with Mikey right now is that not only has he owned that, but, like, now he's, like, actively looking to attack people, as opposed to, like, just being on top of his reads and taking care of the protection. Now it's like, okay, how can I be on the attack now? Because technically, you know, we're offense. Like, we should be on the offensive, and now he's on the offensive.
And then we've seen Josh Wood now again in a couple goal-to-go situations in the red zone. Is he kind of a cheat code right now for you guys with how his ability to run and find the end zone?
Yeah, you know, we put him in some in the open field this week too, just because, you know, I mean, he's really progressed. I told you guys at some point we're going to throw the ball. You know, we threw the ball with him in there too. You know, and so the best part about Josh is he looks at, like, he is so actively engaged in his role. And if I call that personnel that gets him on the field, I mean, he sprints onto the field. And so, yeah, his skill set's special. You know, it is. But he's also kind of really embraced, like, this is how I'm going to help us win. And so it's exciting, because I think that, you know, we're just kind of scratching the surface with what we can do with him. And, you know, I think having him and Mikey on the field together, I mean, Josh, I said a lot, Josh could be one of our best receivers if he played receiver too. So it's just something where, you know, it's something where I'm excited about where that can go.
Lastly, the defense got to celebrate with donuts, right, with the shutout. Is there an offensive equivalent for donuts if they ever get a chance?
I'll have to take that under consideration. we gotta not leave so much meat on the bone for it. But, you know, if we go out there, I don't even know what a good number is. Like, maybe 60 plus. Maybe we'll figure something out.